My name is Kneyse, and this is my Course 5 final project. When I first started this coattail journey, I was in China teaching grade 4 at Sheko International School. Since then, I moved, and now I'm teaching grade 6 math and science at Rifaview's International School in the Kingdom of Bahrain. While in China, one of my teaching partners had already completed coattail, and the other was in her final stretch. But both highly recommended me taking the course, so I decided to take the plunge. And a plunge is exactly what it was for me. For those of you familiar with the Compass Points personality test, I consider myself a Westie part Eastie. I like seeing the whole picture, but at the same time, knowing all the details too. I believe that having to know all the steps and parts to create the whole is what really prevents me from taking risks. But since I encourage my students to be risk takers, I decided I needed to lead by example and take one myself. So, enough about me, and let's get on with the project. When thinking of what I could do this year, I kind of panicked. I just moved countries, changed schools, changed teaching roles, and recently became a brand new mom. Again, all those East attributes came flooding in, and I was overwhelmed. Luckily, during our first PD, we had time set aside to work on a unit and make it a PBL opportunity. I wanted to kill two birds with one stone and see if I could make my PBL unit my final coattail project. The topic was diversity of life, with the main standards being science as inquiry, life science, and science and technology. The unit was teaching students about the different structures and functions of cells while learning the purpose and the proper way to use a microscope. Being new to the grade 6 science curriculum, I was very pleased that our school used FOSS. I am not usually one for box programs. However, I happily welcomed some of the outlines already in place for me to build off of. My main challenge was how could I take what they had and make it better. PBL takes a lot of work, and I needed my students to buy into it. Otherwise, it was going to be a long and painful process. So the grade 7-8 science teacher and I got together, and before I knew it, we had a great idea around diabetes. We had our driving question, ideas to reach out to the community, and it was perfect timing because November is Diabetes Awareness Month. Yes! Well, the phrase, all good things come to an end, unfortunately came true for me. As I continued down this path, trying to set this up, roadblock after roadblock after roadblock came in my way. With other obligations between school and home creeping in, I became even more overwhelmed. I finally decided it was either lose my mind or change my project. I decided to change my project. By this time, I had already started the science unit and was following the outline. The students were really engaged and loving all the hands-on investigations and discoveries. Each day, they would come to class asking if they would be doing another experiment. I loved seeing the enthusiasm and wanted that same effort for my project idea. As students progressed through the different investigations, I started to take note of the different concepts and skills they were having difficulty with. After compiling a list, I decided students would make how-to videos to revisit those concepts and skills and then share their understanding. They needed an authentic audience, so I talked with some teachers in the school and they said they could benefit from those topics for their students too. I contacted my former school because my grade 4 partners taught an environments unit at the end of the year and discussed similar concepts and skills with their students. Finally, everyone was a go. At the halfway point in the unit, I pitched the idea to my students, and they were really keen. We went over the task, rubric, and the first assignment was to complete the narration, which would be the script for their storyboard. To help students structure their videos, we outlined what should be included. From there, the kids were off. Students collected class notes, resource books, and past investigations to review the concepts and skills before deciding on how to teach it to someone else.
The wet slide and put like the now shake your take a
As
glass
students were
slide,
writing out
grab
their
it and
storyboard, I was able to go around and check in with them. The conversations were great as they debated their concept or skill, ensuring that they both were on the same page. When they tried to use me as a referee, I would refer them to their notes and other resources.
now you have to shake your pond water. Now shake your pond water.
Once the scripts were complete, the students practiced reading over them to ensure they made sense
And I'm Elena, and we'll be showing you the difference between a dry and dry mouth.
and were within the 1 to 2 minute time frame.
It's it can move wherever it wants and do whatever it wants. But a multicellular to make the dry mount, you have to put the image on top of the slab, then put the other slab on top of it. For the wet mount, you need one cup of flip, a slide, a drop of water, and one.
Students were eager to get to the next step, compiling the images and videos to match their scripts. Some took stills, while others wanted to narrate the entire time. It was great to see all the different styles and creative ideas shining through. After all the images and videos were complete, students got busy putting it all together and editing. When the partnership felt that they were done, they had to self-assess against the rubric. Then they shared their video with another group and they peer edited. For any category that the partnership did not receive a proficient mark, the peer group had to leave a comment detailing what they needed to do to obtain the proficient mark. When the feedback was shared, students made last-minute changes and then submitted their final pieces to me using YouTube. I don't have all the videos yet, but I am definitely looking forward to the final pieces. Students are going to post their videos onto their blogs, and I will be sending them to the other teachers. The students have included questions or next steps for their viewers. Therefore, after the teachers use it with their classes, we hope to get an email back or a video sharing with us what the students learned and were able to do after watching the how-tos. So, did this implementation meet the definition of redefinition? I think it did. It did because the students took a concept or skill that they learned and were able to internalize it and create a way to share it with someone else. Reflecting back on this project and thinking of what I could have changed or done differently, I would say I am definitely bummed that my original project that had to do with autoimmune diseases here in Bahrain didn't come to fruition. I'm happy with the switch because it included a lot of learning as well. But I have not given up on my original idea, and I would love to go back and try it again next year. But to make it happen, I need to start the process now so that I have all the information available for my students in time. So in conclusion, I would have to say that my greatest learning in this course was having an open mind and putting myself out there. Putting myself out there to be literally critiqued by others virtually. I'm a very personal person, and I find it hard to let others in unless I know them. So to open up to others who I don't even know and have never seen is a big step for me. But I'm so glad that I took that plunge because I've enjoyed the journey and appreciated the honest feedback, which ultimately made me a better educator. So thank you, Cotail and cohort, for helping me along the way and getting to the finish line.